Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM22 Career Mode. This is episode 70, and we begin our first Grand Tour. No, it's not our first, but our first Grand Tour where we are actually aiming for a strong GC outcome. This year, with the Giro, we're going to go for it. Last time around, we've gone for KOM, we've gone for win some stages, and we've succeeded in all of those. And previously, we've actually had a decent outcome in the GC without it being a primary objective. But what can we do with it being a primary objective? I think anything worse than a top 5 would be very disappointing. I think realistically, we're looking at more like a third place type scenario. But it also depends on who's here, who is at this Giro, to determine whether we can go for it in earnest. Brief look at the team we are bringing to this one. Fitness level, 97 to 99% for the entirety of the team. So for that part, they are well prepared. But motivation for 4 of these guys is a bit low. Let's hope that being a participatory member of the team that is here should see that motivation rise following this first day. And we could see that motivation at least, hit average of like, oh, hey, you brought me to the Giro. Thank you. And, feel good after that one. The only one without big bonuses is Garzone, but Garzone is just, domestic kind of guy anyway. 77 mountain, 75 stamina. So he'll be a good support climber, but that's what he'll be throughout. But then you're looking at preparation and objective. Big bonuses for Chergai. If you get the motivation up, he's got a +5. We do have the objective for Garzone, but he's the guy coming in with low motivation and a bit of fatigue already for Garzone. Azumi has the low motivation, but otherwise would definitely have the +5. And then we're looking at Krantz. Not quite where he could be, but we should see that fitness objective at some point. He's going to gain 3 points per day. Is it? I believe. Yeah, 3 points per day for racing. That's going to take a while, though, to get 48%. I mean, it's going to take 16 days. Took me a moment to do the math on that one, but 16 days. And then you have 1 or 2 off days in between there where they'll pick up additional points, maybe 15 days. So Krantz is not going to hit his fitness peak until the final week. Martinez, unfortunately, has the same problem. He's 1.5 points better. So those two are going to be on +2s until the final week where they'll come into stride and hit those +5s. They should be decent for the first 2 weeks at least. Piccioni will be hitting his stride at roughly the same time. He'll be a little bit further along. But yeah, it's the final week for those 3. Vashek would have his +5 if not for the motivation being low, but it looks like he's going to be carrying some fatigue as well. So he'll be serving a bit more as a domestique than otherwise. Vermark is definitely going to lead us through the punchy stages. He's also carrying a little fatigue. So we have 3 guys with some mid-season fatigue, and this is coming down to the problem that we have right now as a team. To get the guys signed that we have signed, we have thinned the roster out a little bit. We have fewer riders than you would want or hope, which means they've done a bit too much racing. And with too much racing, fatigue is setting in. It's nowhere near. I mean, I'd say you're kind of just hitting midpoint of the season with the Giro, and already fatigue is becoming an issue for a number of riders. So that is a bit of a problem. All right, so we're going to just kind of go rider by rider, and Vermark sets off. You can get a look at the course here. Looks like 87 is enough to conserve just a little bit, so 88 is going to be your kind of higher speed that you're able to manage on this one. But we've already navigated a couple corners. There's a little bit of undulation to this. It's not totally flat. And you can see that with the undulation, the 87 doesn't quite cover it. So it's very much an in-between. It looks like an 87 is going to just about do it as we head back towards the finish line now on the opposite side of the river here. 1 kilometer to go. And yeah, you can see how it eased up as you got that slight downhill and that little push right at the end. But we're looking at just 5 seconds down for Vermark. He's got an 81 prologue. That's second place so far, but immediately that time has been surpassed. And Vashek sets off with a +1. Get him up to speed and slow him up as you come underneath the entry at the castle there. We already know that 87 goes a little deep through the first sector, but in the second sector it recovers enough along the way to give you a little something left for the finish line, and little something is he's just reaching the finish line. 32 seconds down for Vashek. Definitely not the same time. Sidler is on top. Sidler actually is one of my dossiers that I have open for next season, as we are missing, since Bogley left, we are missing a Swiss rider, and he, as a strong time trialist, is a decent prospect to bring in to support the team, on team time trials in particular. Shocking with the expected race day conditions that Piccioni has managed to get a -2 today, especially when we literally only have a single rider who has anything below a +2 on their expected. So Piccioni heading out. What will his time be like here? 20 seconds down so far. He's looking at a 73 regardless of prologue or time trial, but at 9K it's mostly prologue today, but uses a little bit of your time trial rating, and he is 37 seconds down, but still a decent time from everybody. And most of these really strong prologue kind of guys aren't going to be contenders in the GC. But O'Connor, Sapkus are the best climbers that we've seen so far. +4 for Martinez is a great outcome on his draw, as you know, +2 was his expected. So Piccioni's shortcomings is Martinez's, counter to keep the balance. According to the AI, Krantz is our leader, but if Martinez can do well, if he can get good draws like this on your time trialing type days, he won't lose a significant chunk of time, and he very well could find himself in the mix and give us at least that counter 1-2 where you can attack with Martinez and force the other teams to respond, allowing Krantz to kind of set on one way or another. You can get a balance out of that. Martinez, by the way, just 11 seconds down at the first time check, and that is definitely a solid time, but he is going to run out of red bar just before the finish line. It is going to cost him a second or so, but he's 23 seconds down in 23rd. Pretty solid time for actually a really solid time for a bad time trialist. And Azumi has a +3 on his race day condition, which is enough to give him an 80 prologue. 78 on the time trial is going to be about a 79 average. Between those, that should be enough to give him a pretty good time here, you would think. In fact, going at an 87 right now isn't even doing much damage. I think we could push on just a little bit through this section. 15th, just 8 seconds down at the first time check. Out and back to 86. 21st, 18 seconds down. That's our best time yet. Azumi, that's a good one. Garzon with his expected 0 race day condition, but he's doing fine, and he's just a domestique here anyway, so him on a 70 prologue is not a big deal. 23 seconds down at the first time check. You see in that gaps aren't huge on a day like this, so he gets to the line 43 seconds down, so there's kind of your baseline. That's our worst guy, and he is just 43 seconds down. And again, those top times aren't big threats. Foss is a pretty good climber. Scott can climb a bit. Simone Carr, I believe, is a decent climber. But yeah, I'm not looking at anybody. Fisher Black down in 20th is the first one. He's only 15 seconds down, but we've got a number of guys that are relatively close to his time. Martinez in particular, 8 seconds behind Fisher Black. And Guy gets his expected +3. I think we are quite neutral on the day at this point in terms of what we've had versus what we were expecting. So let's hope that Krantz at the very least gets, a +2. Guy hits the line, 30 seconds down. Not a bad time at all. Puts him very much in the middle of what we have. And right now everyone is in the top 100, though Garzone may not finish there. Sidler just missing out on the podium, that guy that took that early lead. Just a few seconds in it, really. Just 2 seconds in it with Dan Houle leading the way right now. Cavagna, first one to actually challenge at the top. And Bissiger, same time, but second place, apparently. But you never know. We've seen that change many times when they start counting tenths. Oh, Krantz looks like he's got a fantastic race day condition. He's got a much better than +2. He's got a +4. And at his quality, a +4 is giving him mid-80s. He's got an 80 on the time trial. He's got an 84 for the prologue. That's about an 83 average between the two. It's not going to challenge the top 3, but this should challenge maybe for the top 10. And, we were pushing 88 there for quite a while with Krantz. Now backing off to that 87, and I think that 87 should just about get us towards the end. And you can see that he is in the top 10, just 3 seconds down at that first time check. I think we'll be more than 6 seconds down at the finish line, just based on the fact that we're having to go a little bit easier from here. I'd say we'll probably be right around Soren Kragh Anderson at 7 seconds down. And there you go, we hit the finish line, 10 seconds. 10 seconds down, a little bit further than I expected. I thought it was going to be about 7, but that is still a solid time. Krantz is 17th. He's going to be one of the only contenders that is anywhere near that sort of time. So that is a very, very good time from him. Here comes Filippo Ganna. Ganna goes 4th place. And he was the last guy. So Dan Houle takes the win. Bissiger, Cavagna, and then Bettiol, Ganna, Sidler. And we were just off the top 10. So top 20 when time trialing is not our strength, not our specialty. That is a fantastic start, as both of our key guys put in really solid times. Krantz in particular had a great time. And the 2 guys that had better than expected race day conditions were the 2 guys who needed it. And only 1 guy had worse than expected. So that was a pretty good draw. I think we had about a +2 on that one today. Straight into stage number 3. I'm getting water a little early today, 10-15K early, but we should be able to get to the end of the stage on this one. There's enough short climbs and descents that I think that the pace should be relatively high. We do need to start to increase the effort ever so slightly. We'll push just to 77 and then thinking about 78 here before long on the first of 4 climbs. For being realistic, 3 categorized climbs. And even though it's a punchy stage, it looks like ultimately it's going to be a sprint finish. Though I do have something in mind that I would like to do today as we hit this first climb. 4-man break has a 2-minute lead. It's never even seen 3 minutes. So and it looks like one of the riders will probably not regain contact, and that should make catching them a little bit easier. And part of my plan today does involve catching them, so that's a good thing. And our main leaders on the day get a little bit of recovery. Martinez unfortunately has a -2, but Krantz has a +3, making him today's leader. And then Martinez will just be a protected rider. And we did catch that 1 rider, so he's been caught, and it's down to a 1.5 on the other 3. But it is time to now hold position better than before. I think we'll go an 81 here on this climb. Short and steep, 4K, 6%. Not that. And there we go. The brake has been caught. I'm not worried about the King of the Mountains or the points classification. We are focused on the GC. If we can get a stage win, we'll of course take it, but it's not our focus as we go over the top of that one. And a fall has split the field. Current leader Hool has gone down. No, it's back together already. Gap has been closed. Okay, effort up. Hold position on this one. Okay, we need gels from our weakest pair, and maybe our other guy offering protection soon after. 115 riders left in the Peloton. 36k to go. Okay, it's time. So Martinez is going to go right to the back. He's going to follow Krantz. He's going to be a protected rider, so we're putting him last, even though Krantz is the guy we're actually riding for today. Remark and Piccioni. And then the other four are going to be used in rotation, leading things out. And so Vashek and Shagai, Zumi, and Garzon. Okay, so Garzon's going to go first, and we're starting this before the top of the climb, and we're starting this now because if we can, we're going to split the Peloton, and with 35k to go, a split here could, be lethal to anybody who is dropped, especially at the pace that I am intending to go. Garzon and Izumi look like they're not going to last, though, as all they've managed to do is get over the top, and they have no energy left, and we haven't really split off too many guys as we do go over the top, but they might split off a few more. The rain has hurt race day condition of a lot of riders, but not actually hurt the ability of them. You can see we're actually at this tempo, it's not doing anything, but we're still just going over. The number of riders still just going over the top of that climb. But Garzon pushes on. Decent downhill kind of guy. We're going to start pushing a little bit harder here. And maybe after this lengthy descent and where it puts us at 27k, maybe it's going to be more of a normal bleed out, not necessarily a rotation type thing, as we do split off a few riders that couldn't hang on. But Garzon's done. He's just out of energy. So on to Azumi. And we're just going to keep on pushing. Garzon offering a little bit of protection for Krantz. And Azumi's done as well. Shirkai and Vashek are going to take turns though, so that's a gel for both of them. And we're going to keep that pressure on, so Shirkai, Vashek. Little 1-2 rotation here for a little bit. Okay, before he gets too tired, let's go ahead and get Vashek on the go for a little bit. Guy not recovering being second in line, but at least he's staying steady. Azumi has recovered a little bit, but did he drop way back to do so? Yes, he did. So never mind him. And we've had this high tempo throughout. Okay, now, here's what the plan is, because I don't see this stage going to anyone other than sprinters. But with this short little climb that we're about to hit, it's not a KOM point at the top. It's a sprint point. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second at the top of it. That's what we are aiming for. We're looking for 3 seconds today. So Vashek, at this point, these two might as well just, well, no. Let's go on with Piccioni for the climb. And then Trigai and Vashek will go to the back and try to get us to the finish line. So Vashek, drop back now. And back to Trigai to lead things out briefly. Okay, so on to Piccioni. It's 2.7k to the top. We're already into the guys we want to lead things over. I'd like to have Krantz, Martinez go 1-2, and then maybe like Piccioni go 3. We got to push hard. This is where we can split the field too. 16K to go. It should actually work. And Vasek getting dropped. Can we get a separation with the top 4? Not quite. Okay, so Piccioni I wanted to save a little bit, so on to Vermark. Vermark is very punchy.
Only 15 kilometers left. Oh my, the guys up front aren't going to be making too many friends today.
All right, we have a top 2 with separation. Martinez, sprint. Vermark, continue to lead it out, setting up Krantz if you can. Who's that with us? Ferron. But it does look like Krantz with 400 meters can get out front. And we'll let Vermark drop back. Yes, Vermark. Drop back. There's a 1-2. Now they're gonna get caught. There's no like going on and winning the stage kind of thing. So let's restore. Shergai is done. Vermark is done. We've really split this field. Let's see if we can take advantage of that. Vasek is out of this thing. There is Piccioni and Vermark. So let's get Martinez to follow those two. And we will follow while they chase down Krantz. Krantz has plenty of energy, so let him ride on. Because we just split the field. Now it's 13 chasing 1. It is a punchy stage, so this could see a rather split field. Okay, Martinez has recovered a bit. Vermark. Anybody capable of sprinting? Not really. Okay, Piccioni, bring it forward. Energy gel for him. And there is Krantz has been caught, so Krantz is going to go to the back of the group. 20 in the Peloton now. 23, 46, but we are not quite done climbing actually. And we're about to hit that little punchy section. So Vermark, you're up, buddy. Let's see what you can do. And we'll get Piccioni to the back, so he doesn't get dropped. And we're down to 16 riders now. And we've got 4 of them. Okay. Acceleration from Vermark as we go over the top. Put the group under pressure. Try to open that gap behind us. And Vermark continues on. Down to 15, 14. 4.6K. Gel. 3K. Martinez really digging deep to keep up. 1.7K. Vermark is sprinting. He's got no red bar. Martinez, Krantz, Piccioni. We're not going to win the sprint. We're not sprinters. But there you go. We've got a small group. We've already got some splits. Van Tricht, Vakelin, Moss. It's good for us that those guys have claimed the 10.64 seconds, but Krantz gets 6th. And we've got 13 riders left in the front group. There's your separation. 38 seconds to those two. 44 seconds to those two. Over a minute to this chase group. Let's see what sort of gaps they decide to give us. Let's hope that they have given us some of them, because they've been well deserved, and it was classified as a punchy stage. We did what I set out to do, and we took it away from the sprinters, because I honestly thought the sprinters could hang on through this stage. It wasn't that climby, but we made it tough. Gaps to the back end of the field. That's going to rule out a ton of riders. I mean, you're looking at 10 minutes plus already to 139th down. There's that Sidler guy we were talking about. There's Cavagna, both dropped and well out of this thing. 6.5 minutes. You can not quite rule out 6.5 minutes from GC contention, but it's a lot of guys that lost a ton of time today, and we're already looking at this group was 4 minutes down. 348, 326. Now we're starting to get back into the range of guys that are still ultimately in contention, but 3 minutes down there. 2.5, 214. Time gaps spread out all over the place. We're now looking at 41st and above are a minute 41 down. There's a minute and a half, minute 10, minute 5, 44 seconds, 34 seconds, and there's your top 13. So yes, the time gaps were absolutely given, and we find ourselves with 4 guys plus 9 other riders that are going to find themselves well established, and Krantz with the bonus 3 seconds goes ahead of Gazzoli and Carr and into the pink jersey after just 3 stages. It's a lot of pressure on us, though. That is a whole lot of pressure on us to have it at this point. Gazzoli, sprinter, not a threat in the GC. Carr, 78 mountain, 77 stamina, and pretty punchy as well. Minor threat. Farone, punchy, yes, but not strong enough as a climber. Same with Champison, though a 77-75, he could hang in there. It was his team that was riding for the stage earlier on and helping us make things difficult. Enrique Mas with an 81 mountain, 76 stamina, 74 time trial is a big threat. He is 11 seconds down. Van Tricht is not a threat for Mark, of course. Vacalin is a little bit of a threat, minor, 77 mountain. He is punchier, decent sprint, good flat, 75 in the stamina. Vacalin could pose a little bit of a threat, but not big time. Vlasov with an 80-80 and a 76 in the stamina is also another major threat. But other threats missed out on that group. So we could have taken out a number of them. And I'm looking at 2 guys, Vlasov and Moss, as the biggest threats to us. Otherwise, we're looking pretty dang good to be well positioned at this point. Other threats may re-emerge once we hit the mountains, but they lost time today, that's for sure. And we already find ourselves in first place in the team classification after just 3 stages. Good start, but is it too soon to have the pink jersey? Quick note, the normal Friday episode is not going to happen this week. I have a couple of first look episodes coming out with some keys that I've been given. And so I am bringing some additional content, but don't worry, we will be back on Monday with our usual time slot and continue on with the Giro. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.